Hey guys, it's Menon. It is day three. Day three. Sun. Ooh. The limited Japanese I know, right? Now, going on to Chiyo. I got some great tips from Chiyo. So far, I've been getting some really awesome tips. And also, Chiyo just gave me some really great advice. So this time the video did work. I did it on WebEx. Shout out WebEx. This isn't sponsored, but you know, hit my line. And I got to record on WebEx and the whole conversation was recorded. So I will insert some clips of the tips plus the advice he gave, which was some stellar advice. What do you consider your brand to be?
My brand, okay, if I have to be really honest with you,
Mm-hmm.
I'm still sort of trying to figure out my actual branding because I am in the process of rebranding myself a little bit here and there.
Mm-hmm.
And, given the whole entire situation in the world, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
I decided to, delay it a bit, you know what I mean?
Mm-hmm.
And in order to use my platform for activism, basically.
Gotcha.
So, but from what I've gathered so far with my particular brand is more like I'm obviously more of a deity-based idol. You know what I mean?
Mm-hmm.
Like I'm more into the utatamita sort of side of things, since like singing is my main specialty.
Mm-hmm.
So I mainly post vocal covers, and it's kind of like it's more, I guess my brand is more like the fact that matters is I'm obviously a 6 foot tall giant, black man,
Yeah.
singing J-pop songs and English songs. Some of those songs really, really cute, you know what I mean? But I guess it's more like I'm basically the gentle giant that likes cute shit, if that makes any sense.
Okay, like that.
I started off, doing utatamita
Yeah.
sort of stuff, meaning I was recording covers way before I even became an idol. So that was the case with at least with me. I started off, recording covers pretty much. I have a theater background as well, so there's also that. So it's I'm not new when it comes to performing at all. But I started being an idol last year, technically speaking. So performing as an idol is something that's new to me. It's a brand new experience. It's a completely new venture. And it was scary at first because it's kind of there's not a lot of people who look like me doing what I'm doing.
Yeah.
So at first, it felt very lonely. But, basically my friend Julianne, aka Julie_official, she reached out to me and she basically told me that it's possible for somebody like me to be an idol, which opened my eyes to a lot of stuff. And given that particular start, I got to meet a bunch of wonderful people, amazingly talented people. I got to join different networks, the Chocolate Idol Network, for goodness sake. I got to join Ikuyo Pro. I got to join OIC. You know what I mean? It's amazing how quickly you start to realize that the idol community is actually a very small world.
Yeah, that's something with me myself personally, I was in KRP 28 before. I don't know if you know about that group, but
I actually heard about it.
yeah,
I researched it.
It was a net idol group, and I was a part of it. But you wouldn't see me a lot because I asked them to delete videos of me because they were embarrassing. I was like 14. It was just embarrassing.
Hey, at least you started at 14. Listen, I wish I had that level of confidence when I was 14. Doing that, because growing up, I was such a shy person. I basically skipped out on opportunities because of my shyness.
Yeah.
It's because I was overthinking. I didn't think oh, I'm not talented enough, or oh, I'm not good enough, or oh, I can't sing well enough, or I can't dance well enough. You know what I mean? It's those doubts, start to build up, and it starts to literally hold you back from what you truly want to do.
Yeah, like I was definitely shy as well, but I don't know. It came like when it came to online stuff, it really helped me to like want to branch out because I felt like nobody knew me, nobody knew what I was doing except the people in the community. So I just wanted to
Mm,
like do it and like have fun with it. So like yeah, I guess I was lucky in that way, but it's definitely good that you started and got out of it and were able to branch out like that.
hmm
But
I mean, basically, when it comes to anything in the arts,
yeah.
you just gotta do it. You just
Yeah,
gotta
pretty
do it, no matter
much.
how scared you are. You just got to do it. It's like one day I woke up, I said, okay, I want to start posting my covers on YouTube, and
Hmm.
I did that. And then, next thing you know, I started sharing my covers. When I joined like OIC and like other networking, Discord servers, I started showcasing my work.
Hmm.
And I received like a lot of support out of nowhere, and it was kind of like it was new to me because I was not used to getting a bunch of support out of the blue. You know what I
Hmm.
mean? Because when I started off, like it was just me, myself in my bedroom
Yeah.
and my phone. You know what I mean? Like there was nobody else like really checking for me. Like yeah, I had like friends and family that would like compliment my singing and stuff. You know what I mean?
Hmm.
But you know, I never had that level of support that I have today back then.
Yeah.
So that's something that's new to me. And if I have to be really honest, I'm still not 100% used to it because it's kind
Hmm.
of like, one day, I don't know. I guess it's because of the fact that, like, I'm a naturally humble person
Hmm.
by nature. So it's kind of like I just don't allow the numbers to get to my head.
Yeah. Which is good. It's
And
great.
it's a very good mindset for, especially for like young creators,
Hmm.
because as basically our generation and younger, pretty much, you know what I mean, we tend to get so engrossed in the numbers. We tend to get so enamored by the views, the engagement, the this, that, and the third, the promotions. But we don't really. But what we need to do is to sit down and question ourselves: is this something I'm passionate about?
Hmm.
Is this something I can see myself doing for a very, very long period of time? Is this something that I personally believe would benefit me in any given way, shape, or form?
Yeah. Because I feel like with a lot of people too, it's like not just for fun either anymore, which is it's okay for it to not be just for fun. Because I would like
Mm,
personally belt Amu to like I want to perform in Japan, but I want it to be
mm.
like long term just because I want to move to Japan. So it's like not just for fun, but there has to be an aspect of fun to it.
Honestly, here's the thing: there has to be like a perfect balance of it,
Yeah,
because yes, if you're not having fun doing this, there's no point in doing it.
exactly.
If you're not taking it seriously, there's no point in doing it.
Yeah.
So you have to like literally have a happy medium where like you can still have fun, you can still, do a bunch of fun stuff, a bunch of fun projects here and there, you know what I mean? But when push comes to shove and you really need to put into work, you got to put into work. Because if you
Exactly.
don't put into work, then, people are not going to be checking for you and they're not going to take you seriously. They're going to be like, "Oh, I know that person, but they don't take their craft seriously and they're not showcasing improvement." Because as an idol, being an idol is a work in progress. It's
Hmm.
a natural, constant work in progress where we're constantly improving, we're constantly taking in, criticism and critiques, we're constantly taking in advice, we're constantly taking in tips. And in a sense, we're basically training and to be indie artists. You know what I mean? We're all independent here. And basically, which is why I told you that it's important to network, because like in your particular case, I was literally on your YouTube channel like a couple of days ago before I basically recommended that network and stuff.
Hmm.
And I like your stuff. I'm just over here like, it would be a shame for you to constantly be consistent in post, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
And are not networking and showcasing that work, because I personally think that you actually have a very, very strong, high potential. Like
Thank
you
you.
have the potential to literally do so many great things in this community, and because of the fact that you already have the personality, you already have the drive, you already have the work ethic. You know what I mean? All we really need to do is just just branch out, talk to people. You know what I mean? I know it's scary,
Yeah.
but it's something that as artists and performers and even as people we need to network and we need to, if we're curious about something or we're not sure about something, right? We can go ask somebody who has a high expertise at this one particular thing. You know what I mean? Like there's some people like we all have different skills. You know what I mean?
Mhm.
Some of us are good at dancing. Some of us are good at singing. Some of us are good at all. Like both of them. Some of us are good at mixing. Some of us are good at video editing. You know, there's people who are jack of all trades.
Mhm.
You never really know until you actually speak, until you reach out. And, we all technically started in the same foot. You know what I mean? We
Yeah.
woke up one day and we decided, you know what? I'm just going to do this. I don't care what happens. I don't care who is supporting me. I will do this because I want to do this.
Mhm.
So that's the only similarity because we all technically started off as, that one particular kid with a dream. You know what I mean? And we wasn't sure how this was going to happen, but we knew deep down that this is what we wanted to do.
Yeah. Yeah, great advice. I really appreciate everything you said. Um
Mm.
and I wanted to include you on this because you've been in it, and also you have a deeper voice, and I'm personally working on my deep voice because I don't know
Mm.
if you saw my Sakura Chirari cover.
I have actually. I have. And it is good. I do have some tips here and there
Yeah.
that could make it a bit better. Like, obviously since you're just starting out, I basically cut you some slack because you're just getting back into it, you know what I
Mhm.
mean? Like we all have to get through the awkward stage to
Yeah.
get to the glow up stage.
Yeah.
And I'm not gonna lie, it was a pretty good cover. You know, obviously, the mixing could be a bit more better because like there were some parts that are a bit like muffled, like the sound quality was a bit muffled.
Mhm.
But I can tell that you definitely and I also have like I also have like my singing tips like in the sidelines as well. So I can keep like my eyes on them because I did wrote them down like last night, the night before, pretty
Yeah.
much. Um, you definitely, I can tell that you broke down the lyrics for one.
Mhm.
I can tell because your pronunciation is definitely pretty up there. It's pretty good.
I've been working on it since middle school.
Good, good. That's what you
Yeah.
should. That's what you're supposed to be doing. Because when it comes to like certain Japanese songs, especially some Hello Project songs, for example, you know what I mean. There are some phrases that are a bit like either cluttered together or they're just way too fast, and you have to like
Yeah.
literally listen to them and break it down, and you have to be like, wait, hold up, go back to that one again. You have to like listen to it again
Mhm.
and say, okay, this is this, that, and third, and that's basically the case. I can tell that you definitely had a lot of confidence, which I can tell because basically one of the biggest things that a lot of like newbie singers, particularly like idols who are just getting into the scene, they tend to tense up when
Mhm.
they sing. They tend to tense up, and it's out of nervousness. You know what I mean? I get it. It's very nerve wracking to put yourself out there, but confidence is key.
Mhm.
You have to be confident in basically your singing, you know what I mean, in a sense, so that way your voice can be free. It's
Yeah.
more like you have to like put yourself in the mindset, and well, at least I'm just gonna basically, talk about like my process whenever I am learning a new song or whatever I'm recording.
Yeah.
Pretty much whenever I'm singing, any given song, it's like I basically visualize myself into the world of that song. You know what
Mhm.
I mean? Basically, the mood of the song, and just basically, add my own personal experiences, my own personal flair, and also my interpretation of it. You know what I mean? Through my singing,
Mhm.
and I don't get me wrong. It takes a good while for some people to actually lock down the actual true meaning of the song. But one thing I do recommend is that you not only read the Japanese lyrics, right, but
Mhm.
you also read the English translation of
Okay.
them because You know, there are some people who try to, like, you know, learn a song, but, you know, they just can't connect to it. You know what I mean? And basically, for, you know, in my particular case, like, I can just easily just connect to the mood of the song because I can just easily tell what the meaning of the song is.
Yeah.
But I know there are some people who struggle, you know, to understand the true meaning behind the song.
Mm-hmm.
And that kind of also goes hand in hand with people who are writing, like, you know, their own English lyrics to a song, because sometimes I do write English lyrics to, you know, my own English renditions of songs.
Yeah.
Sometimes. But it's okay to look into the English translation, even though sometimes I don't trust it entirely.
Mm-hmm.
But it's helpful because it gives you a somewhat direct variation of the meaning of the song because you're looking at it from your own language, your own native tongue.
Yeah.
And also another thing is, and this is one really big tip,
Mm-hmm.
breath support. You need to have breath support because if you're trying to sing a song, like a vocally challenging song, right?
Mm-hmm.
Which requires you to basically hold longer notes and or basically sing like an entire phrase without breathing for about, like, you know, 5 good seconds. It's very, very important because, like, there are songs that require you to hold longer notes. Like, for example, I'm trying to think. There's this Andrudamu song called Tadashiku. Yeah, it's basically that particular song. It's like, I know the translation is regularly beautiful,
Mm-hmm.
and in the end, you actually have to hold like a really, really long note in the end.
Okay.
So kind of like utsukushiku, but it's a lot longer than that, obviously. But basically, my point is, you're gonna have to, like, literally have that breath support, and trust and believe. Once you have that breath support, your notes will come out a lot clearer. Your pronunciation will be much clearer, and everything will be a lot more easier, and things will start falling into place, and then you'll be able to actually improve a lot quicker if you get through that first step.
Okay. That's a good one. Because I definitely have to work on that myself. Because I really struggle sometimes with that. It's like
Hmm.
dying.
I mean, but just understand, well, at least from my perspective of from what I've heard from your singing, you're actually pretty, you're kind of like on the intermediate level. I can tell. It's more like you have some basic understandings of what to do,
Mm-hmm.
which is why, because you pretty much went through, like, the three main steps, pretty much. You know what I mean? To some extent.
Mm-hmm.
You have, like, a pretty decent rep support. You know what I mean? Pretty decent. You also broke down the lyrics. That's another one.
Mm-hmm.
And you also had, you know, a lot of confidence, and I can tell that you were genuinely enjoying yourself while singing. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Because basically, as idols, you know what I mean, one thing that you really shouldn't do, you shouldn't fake a smile. You shouldn't fake enjoyment,
Never.
because fans can read through that bullshit. They can read through it. But if you're really enjoying yourself, right, it shows.
Mm-hmm.
It really shows.
Yeah, I agree. Because that's why I'm so like, personality is good to have just because it's
Mhm.
like, even if you lack in those other areas, which I personally think my singing is like terrible, but I do it anyway because I want to be able to enjoy it and I want to get better. And that's what I was saying about my deep voice. Like, I think my deep voice is way better. I just have to work on like high notes with a deep voice. But it's like, if you don't have that stage presence and the personality, it's like you kind of have to rely on those other aspects a lot more.
Yeah, and when it comes to deeper voices, like particularly, like, you know, altos and stuff like that, and even
Mhm.
basses and baritones, it's more like you need to have a lot of breath support for one.
Mhm.
You need, because you're gonna have to use your diaphragm like a lot, and also it's, yeah, pretty much. I'm trying to figure out the word for it though. Oh my gosh. Um,
It's more like gut singing, right?
It comes from the chest.
Okay. Yeah,
However, when
yeah.
it comes to female singers, right?
Mhm.
Female singers have a slight advantage
Mhm.
because it can easily, go from their head voice and then their chest voice pretty easily.
Mhm.
But one thing I do recommend is that you shouldn't rely heavily on the chest voice too much.
Mhm.
And I encourage you to find like a happy medium between the two and go basically learn how to like master both of them pretty much.
I'm so
Like at
glad you
least in
said
my particular
that.
case, like yes, I am, my singing voice is generally deeper, but like
Mhm.
I encourage myself to also use my head voice when it comes to like certain songs and certain like harmonies as well. So when you
Mhm.
hear like when you hear like my covers that have backing harmonies to it and you hear the higher
Mhm.
harmonies, that's my actual voice doing that.
Mhm.
Like it's really not that hard to sort of like lock into those things. But again, it varies from person to person.
Yeah.
Like my methods might not work for you, and your methods might not work for me, but that's okay because we can share those things and we can see if you, and we can basically see what works out. You know what I mean?
Mhm.
And that's the magic of asking tips from different people and watching different videos because you get to see different perspectives. Because in reality, there really is no right or wrong answer because we're all doing things about like a tad bit differently than one another.
Yeah.
However, there are like, ways of going about it that can be unhealthy. Like, and I tell like a lot of my friends this all the time, and even like people asking for advice,
Mhm.
basically try to avoid straining your voice. And if you feel like a strain, you know what I mean?
Mhm.
Or if you like, basically what I'm trying to say is like when you're trying to sing a particular part, right?
Mhm.
And you feel that your voice is sort of straining, um, that is a sign that you should definitely, possibly take a good break. Like take a good break.
Mhm.
Just rest your voice for like a good, couple of minutes or even an hour. You know what I mean? Drink some water. Stay hydrated for one.
Mhm.
But when it comes to hydration, make sure it's not boiling hot and make sure it's not ice cold.
Okay.
Like make sure it's like lukewarm, and it could have like a slight chill, you know what I mean, like a little bit, but not too much that it can constrict your vocals, because like if you have something that's too cold, for example, it constricts stuff. So it's really not good to have things that are super cold, so I would recommend like anything like room temperature or lukewarm.
Mhm. Okay.
But tea is a bit differently, because like I do recommend that you drink tea with honey,
Okay.
or because like honey naturally soothes the throat. It's been proven. So whenever you have like tea, for example, right, you just put some honey, like one good spoonful or more, either given way, because honey is actually good for you.
Mhm.
So, or if you're say you're in the recording studio booth, right, I recommend that you do bring cough drops with you, like particular ones with like honey and lemon in it,
Okay.
because those are actually really good, especially if you have like a sore throat.
Mm.
Those are good. Like those are bomb as hell, and they will really help you out in the long run.
Okay. Oh yeah, I've been drinking super cold water. That's so funny. And it's so funny you say that about the chest thing because I actually said that in my video, but I was like, maybe I'm capping. But it's nice to hear somebody else talk about that because I talk
Hmm.
about it from like my head to like my chest area.
Hmm.
And I'm trying to find the in between because when I sing deep, it's not, I think it sounds better, but it's not as pretty. So I'm trying to get like a prettier voice with it.
That's basically why you know you have to find that balance. Because if you
Yeah.
rely so heavily on one particular side, then it's going to come across as forced when you try to sing other songs.
Yeah.
Because there are songs that would require you to sing it in a very particular way. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like, for example, when you're singing, like, J-rock songs, right? It requires you to sing with a slightly more intense vocal. And when you're singing like a ballad, right?
Hmm.
You have to have like much more of a somewhat softer to to a somewhat mellow sort of tone. You know what I mean? You have to basically learn how to sort of adjust to different sort of ways, different styles.
Yeah.
Because when I mean, I don't know what kind of songs like your group is going to be planning on doing,
Mm-hmm.
but like but the reason I'm saying this is because like you never really know. Might like you might start off with one concept, right? Like for example, you might start with a cute concept, right?
Mm-hmm.
But maybe you might want to do something a bit more sultry, a bit more sexy. You know what I mean? And the cutesy sort of concept would clash with the sexy concepts. You know what I
Mm-hmm.
mean? Because those are two concepts that are kind of like direct opposites. You know what I mean? And you wouldn't want to sing like a very very sexy song. Like I'm gonna give an example. I'm gonna try to give an example. Like Egao Yes Noodle from Morning Musume. That song is very sexual.
Mm-hmm.
Very, very sexual. Well, it's not like, I wouldn't consider the lyrics to be sexual by mean like the overall vibe of it. You know what I
Yeah,
mean?
definitely.
The overall vibe of that song is so sexual, and you wouldn't want to sing it in a very cutesy sort of voice. You know what I
Mm-hmm.
mean? Unless that's naturally your singing voice, I say go the fuck off. You know what I mean? Because there are some people who naturally have higher singing voices. You know what I
Mm-hmm.
mean? And then there are people who have naturally deeper voices. So it all depends on when it comes to those types of people. They have a very, very special challenge. You know what I mean?
Mm-hmm.
Because kind of like they have to work even harder to convey and to convey their interpretation of that song, right? While also sort of like walking into the feel of it. You know what I mean?
Mm-hmm. So his advice, he commented on my singing, which was helpful. Some of the things that he spoke on, I already did, and also some of the things that he spoke on, I needed to fix. Like before I sang, I drink really cold water, but I don't like room temperature water. Like it makes me gag. So who knows? But like the cough drop thing, I will be. That is a good one. Um, I definitely enjoy singing even though I can't do it. So that is where I feel like my confidence does come in because I do like singing even though I think my voice is terrible. But maybe not terrible, but subpar. But yeah, so his tips were great. I don't really know what to do based off of what he said just because it's kind of things that I've been doing. I don't really know what to do. I won't really do anything today based off of what he said, like anything different at least because I don't have money for cough drops. And some of the stuff he said I already have down packed, I think. Like of course I can always work on stuff, but a lot of his tips I was already doing. So, except like I need to work on finding that balance. So, I will sing Wonderful World again, trying to be more stable and trying to find a balance. この世界は素晴らしいよねなんて大きな愛に包まれているのあなたがいればあなたを思えばそれだけでここは Wonderful World And that is where we will end the video today, folks. Day 3. Of course, like I said before, I will continue practicing. It doesn't stop when the video stops. I just don't want to like pollute the videos with me practicing the same thing continuously all the time. You know what I mean? Even though I definitely should be practicing other songs, but you know what I mean. So, hope you enjoyed it. So, yes. Thank you for watching. See you in day 4. This is 8.